Hey everyone, GuardianE here with a quick Fire Emblem Heroes video on the Rokkr Sieges event. Here to showcase a cheap, easy, and effective strategy that you can employ in order to consistently reach that 150 damage threshold for the Remnant Accessories. When I say Remnant Accessories, what I'm referring to are these accessories when you reach a certain damage threshold against a Rokkr boss. So in this instance, it would be 150 damage per battle. And you get this really cool flame over the eye accessory. There's a different one for every weapon type. So, of course, there are any number of ways you can achieve this. You can use triangle adept brave weapons, or double up on effective damage, use obstruct and guard to kind of pin the boss and do damage to them. But it's nice to be able to have this team in your back pocket just in case you need it to clear and don't have the proper builds available. Shoutouts to the original creator of the Brave Bow build strategy. As far as I know, this is the first time I heard about it, was through a subreddit user by the name of Jazhuang Chin on the Fire Emblem Heroes subreddit. I may be butchering that name, so I apologize. But they used a Brave Bow build with 3 dancers, and this is just a variation of that for my own purposes, just because I wanted to be able to pull out Spring Loki and use her instead of Brave Lyn. So this strategy will work for any melee-based Rokkr boss. Obviously, you can see here Minerva. The current wave is Minerva and Michalis, so it'll certainly work against them. For ranged Rokkr bosses, generally it'll require a little bit more modification and strategy just because they're harder to kind of force into this loop. They're going to be moving around a little bit more. You may need to employ obstruct and kind of force them into a corner. But you can do it. It's a little bit more dicey. But this certainly seems to work, at least, and it has worked thus far for every single melee-based Rokkr boss, regardless of what color they are or anything like that. And obviously, it kind of centers around the Brave Bow as kind of the linchpin of the entire strategy. Now, you may be saying, well, Michalis and Minerva are flyers, so they're going to take effective damage. Well, that's true, although Michalis has the Iot Shield as part of his native kit, and he does have that as a Rokkr boss as well. So he's not taking effective damage from the bow, so this is a legit demonstration of how this actually works. So let's take a look at the builds themselves. We'll start with the kind of star of the show here, which is going to be Spring Trickster Loki. I only have her as +1. I didn't get additional copies through the exchange or anything like that, so we just have her at +1. Obviously as neutral because she's a free unit. I put Brave Bow on her, reposition, Noontime will keep her sustain up, and that works in tandem with Guard 2. So the reason why she has Guard 2 here is, well, just because it's cheaper than Guard 3. I'll probably put Guard 3 on her eventually, but just for the purposes here, Guard 2 is perfectly fine because it's a budget option. But basically, Guard 2 will prevent the Rokkr boss from proccing their special, and their special, as you know, does an area of effect damage and also swaps the Rokkr boss with the unit that they're attacking. So the reason why that's important is because for positioning purposes and keeping them in the loop, you want them to stay where they are, and you also don't want them to do an area of effect damage to inflict damage on your other teammates. So this combination of Noontime and Guard prevents that from happening, because again, Noontime will keep Spring Loki's health up, or any archer of your choice, and Guard will prevent, Guard's condition of course is an HP condition, so the Noontime will keep the Guard condition active. Deathblow 3, any A-slot skill that increases attack, you want as much attack as possible. Deathblow 4, of course, would work. Sturdy Impact would work, of course. So any high attack boosting A-slot will work here. You just want as much attack as possible. Breath of Life 3 for the C-slot is going to keep the dancers on the team alive and healthy throughout the course of this. And for the seal here, I just put on Sturdy Blow 2. You can actually use any really attack boosting seal here. The Bond skills, for example, would actually be an excellent choice here that you could slap on there. Perfectly fine. If you opt to use an infantry-based archer, or even an armored archer, you can actually opt to use Flashing Blade instead of an attack boosting, just to make sure that you get the Noontime proc as often as possible. So that's definitely an option as well. So just bear that in mind. You can use an attack boosting seal. You can even use a speed boosting seal if you really wanted to. And then at the end of the day, if you're using an infantry-based bow user, you could also opt to use Flashing Blade as well. But basically, your archer is going to just be quadding and quadding and quadding over and over and over again, attacking twice, taking a hit back, and then attacking twice again, proccing Noontime to heal back all of their health, and then after that's all over and the turn is ended for that archer, Breath of Life will keep the dancers around her in a T formation alive and healthy. And the other 3 components of the team have a lot of flexibility. You basically just want to be using 3 other dancers. Now, there is some nuance to this in that if, for your archer, for example, you want to get as many buffs on them as possible, and depending on your arrangement and who's in your barracks, the best way to do that might be tactic skills. So if that's the case, you may want to have a mixed team, in which case you would want dancers that were not the movement type of your archer. So my archer is a flyer here, so I have Legendary Azura here, but I also have 2 infantry-based dancers. And so the other secret ingredient to the dancer formula is basically having at least 1 ranged and 1 melee dancer. And the reason for that is because you want to bait the AI into attacking one of the dancers, and in order to do that, it's going to prioritize whichever dancer can't attack back. So if the rocker that you have is a physical rocker like we have here, then they're going to be attacking into a ranged dancer, because the ranged dancer can't attack back. So they're always going to consistently prioritize the opponent that can't attack back. So let's take a quick look at the dancers that I've chosen for the team, as well as the builds that I've put on them. So we have Lady of the Ballads, Azura. This is Performing Arts Azura. Not even merged. She just has her native weapon. She doesn't even need her weapon, but she has Sing, Iceberg, Defense +3 for the A slot. So for the dancers, you basically just want to put defensive stats on them. So for the A slot, you just want to put whatever cheap skill you have. That if you have extra fortress defenses, then sure, yeah, you can throw that on them, but not necessary. Again, defense +3, res +3, those will absolutely work fine. For the B slot, seal defense 3 is actually pretty important. So on whatever bait dancer you want to have seal defense 3. That's going to ensure that when the rocker attacks that specific dancer, at the end of their attack phase, they're going to get hit with a -7 defense. And that's effectively going to give your quad archer a +7 attack, more or less. And then you have Spur Attack 3 here, as well as Attack Tactic 3 for the seal. Now that we have these tactic skills, you can, as seals, you can kind of employ it however you want to. You could have Attack Tactic, plus Speed Tactic, plus Defense Tactic, for the full breath. In any way that you need to, in any deficiency of your archer, you can kind of mix and match those tactic skills as you need to. But really for your C slot and your seal, you're looking at trying to boost the attack as much as possible of your archer. So next up, we've got Sincere Dancer Nephany, one of the newer dancers in the game. But Nephany actually has her Fiddlestick Bow, which is actually pretty helpful, because that does actually increase the defenses of the rest of the team. She has Dance, again, Defense +3, gave her Seal Defense 3, once again. I have it on both the one example melee and one example ranged dancer, just because whichever rocker you're facing, you just want whoever the rocker is prioritizing to attack will get hit with that Seal Defense. And then double Spur Attack as well. And then finally, we've got Legendary Azura here. Has her Prayer Wheel, Grey Waves, Moonbow. For the B slot, I decided to put Obstruct on her, but really it doesn't even come into play that often. It's more used in the scenario where you have a ranged rocker. Goad Flyers for the C slot, and then Spur Attack Speed 2 for the seal. So again, just stacking on those attack boosts and attack buffs as much as you possibly can. And that's more or less it. Pretty simple. We're going to cut to a battle right now so you can see the strategy in action. But basically, in order to reach the 150,000 damage threshold, you want to definitely do a boost ×8, so you want to use all of the axes. And you want to fight on intermediate. So on intermediate, you will be able to reach the 150,000 threshold. And the enemy forces will have levels that are significantly lower. I think they're around level 30 or so. And because of that, you're going to be able to tank hits much easier, and you're not going to have to worry about taking a lot of chip damage in the course of tanking hits and dealing damage to the rocker boss. Alright, so let's jump right in, and you can take a quick look and see how it all kind of comes together. Alright, well here we can see the team strategy against Michaelis, again using 8 of the Havoc axes to make sure we get the full boost, and then going on intermediate. Now, I will preface this by saying Michaelis is a flyer who would traditionally take effective damage against bows. However, Michaelis comes equipped with Iote's Shield, which neutralizes that effective damage. So it's effectively attacking against a neutral opponent, a neutral advantaged opponent. And again, the rocker version of Michaelis does have Iote's Shield. So As you can see here, we actually get sort of an unfavorable position. We have to actually sacrifice one of our attack turns to get into position and take out that debris in the way, but nevertheless, we still come out of this with enough damage to spare even by turn 7 rolling around. But basically what we do is we get into position in T formation next to Michalis, try to neutralize his ability to take advantage of any defense tiles if we can, and then we continue to attack with our archer, in this case Spring Loki. So we quad him over and over again, we take the counter hit damage, but she activates Noontime, which replenishes her health, which makes sure that Guard is active during the entire time, and that the Rokkr boss does not get any special charge throughout the entire process. The only time the boss gets a special cooldown charge is when he or she attacks into one of the bait units, so the bait dancer that we have here. Now we want to make sure to position the bait dancer in front or closer to Michalis, the target here. In this case it's Nephany. Again, since she's ranged, Michalis is naturally going to target Nephany since Nephany can't counterattack. So Michalis is going to continue to attack into Nephany, going to get one charge on his special, and then Nephany is going to use Defense Seal on him in that exchange, which will again debuff his defense by 7, which again effectively increases Loki's damage. So this continues over and over again. Each round we get more and more of a bonus. If you get lucky, the peripheral enemies will sometimes suicide themselves on the dancers, which can be kind of nice. That actually increases your boost even further. But even if you don't get any of that, you should be doing enough damage. Like I said, we even had to sacrifice an initial attack just to get into position here because we didn't have the most favorable of a map setup, and even then we're still going to come out with enough damage and damage to spare, in fact. So yeah, pretty straightforward. You're going to keep in this T formation. Any damage that's taken by the dancers is going to get healed because Loki is attacking upwards of 4 times per turn, which means she's healing 7 HP to all of her allies times 4, so 28 HP. And on intermediate, the enemies are level 30 or so they're not taking tons of damage, and then you're keeping them topped off with the Breath of Life. Now, you could get a really unlucky roll with the enemy troops, and maybe they'll all, gang up on one particular dancer. That can happen potentially, and that's kind of unfortunate, but if it happens, it happens. It's just kind of luck of the draw. For the most part, you're going to see something like this, where you're kind of have free reign to just keep quadding the Rokkr boss over and over again, get continual boosts with each successive turn, and that the Rokkr will never get to a 0-turn cooldown because they'll only be getting 1 special charge per turn, basically. So yeah, this is basically it throughout the entire course of it. Pretty straightforward, and like I said, really easy. And again, it's just nice to kind of have this as a failsafe, just in case you want to be lazy, you don't want to put in the effort to create a whole new team for a Rokkr. And this is just an easy way to kind of get that win, get those points, and at the end of the day, be able to get that Remnant accessory, which is super cool. So let me know in the comments below what strategies and teams you end up using for these Rokkr Sieges, if you have a go-to team, or if you just like to switch it up every time, what your overall strategy is in reaching that point threshold. Maybe it is to, again, take advantage of Triangle Adept, or take advantage of certain specials or Gale Forces. Let me know in the comments below. And again, because the Rokkr Sieges were making their return, I thought it'd just be a nice opportunity to showcase what I end up doing when I'm feeling lazy, and I just want to clear the Rokkr, end up getting that accessory along the way. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please feel free to leave us a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. We thank you all so much for watching and taking time out of your day to spend with us. We really, really do appreciate it. And until next time, let's protect those skies.